There's a saying I've been thinking about lately. One good neighbor deserves another. This morning, I carried an empty basket down the road to visit my older friend. She has a permaculture garden, not the polished kind you see online, but the lived in, deeply loved kind. The kind that feels like it breathes. And now I feel like I want to breathe. Her garden doesn't grow in very straight lines. It grows also in layers. Tall trees protecting what's tender, vines weaving wherever they please, herbs tucked quietly beneath larger leaves. I'm sorry, you may not see everything on the video, but I definitely promise you, next time you will see her garden tour fully. Nothing is wasted, everything belongs. She told me once, permaculture isn't about controlling the land, it's about listening to it. And I think that's why her garden feels so peaceful. We harvested spinach first. Her hands moved slow but confidently, like someone who knows the language of seasons. She showed me which leaf to take and which ones to leave so the plant can keep growing. There's something intimate about harvesting with someone older than you. It feels like being invited into a memory. She told me about drought years, about learning through failure, and about how compost teaches you that even what breaks down has purpose. I realized I wasn't just gathering vegetables, I was gathering perspectives. Sweet potatoes came from beneath, and the soil like a quiet treasure. Tomatoes warmed by the sun. A handful of herbs she insisted I take home. You will see more on her garden, of course, on the upcoming vlogs. She always sends me home with more than I expected. And that's, I think, is what generosity looks like in its simplest form. Not grand gestures, just take some for your kitchen. In a world that feels increasingly individualistic, growing food together feels radical. We're taught to buy what we need, to rely on systems, to stay in our own lanes. But today reminded me, community can be as small as a shared garden gate. One good neighbor deserves another. And I wonder what kind of neighbor I'm becoming. I have my tiny urban homestead, my small raised beds, my bucket of potatoes. Maybe one day someone younger will walk to my door with an empty basket and I'll say, "Come, let's harvest." The basket was heavier when I came home, not just with vegetables, but with stories, with wisdom, with the quiet reminder that abundance doesn't always come from supermarkets. Sometimes it comes from the woman down the road who planted trees before you even knew how to garden, before I even knew how to garden. And maybe that's what being a good neighbor really is. Planting something that someone else will one day harvest. I still wonder once again, what kind of neighbor am I becoming? She told me so many stories that I would love to share with you. I hope you have all the time. If the weather is hot in your country, sip a cold beverage and listen to the stories and the tales that interested my life. And if the weather is cold and cozy, sip some tea and let us get more deeply into the stories that are molding my life as a young farmer. She told me a few garden stories, and I remember this one vividly. It's about the tree that almost died. She pointed to an old guava tree and laughed softly. I nearly pulled that one out, she said. It refused to grow for 2 whole years. No fruit, barely leaves. I thought it wasn't meant for this soil. But she left it. She watered it through drought. She mulched around it with kitchen scraps. She spoke to it when no one was around. And I found that funny, but I understand her. Some things grow slow, she told me, not because they're failing, because they're rooting. Now it fruits every summer, and she says it reminds her of the years she thought she was behind in life. She also has a lemon tree, and she told me a very similar story to this one. A few other stories that she told me. She titled it in her own saying. I'll try saying it in her voice. The Year of Drought. That's how she sounded. While we pulled some carrots together, she told me about the driest year she had ever seen. The soil cracked open like broken pottery, she said. I cried in this garden. She lost half her crops that season, but she didn't quit. She started harvesting rainwater in old buckets. She planted cover crops. She learned to protect the soil instead of fighting the weather. That's when I learned, she said, brushing dirt from her hands. You don't control nature, you cooperate with it. She told me that's true for people too. I think that's very true. Another inspiring story that she told me was about the spinach that fed 3 families. As we bent down to cut the spinach and smiled. There was a time, she said, when this little patch fed more than just me. A neighbor had lost her job. Another was caring for a newborn. Money was tight. So she harvested quietly and left bags of greens at their gates. No one needed to know, she said. That's how community used to work. She told me food tastes better when it's shared. And I really think this is true. I once shared some coriander and spinach, a spinach bunch with my neighbor as well. And when I cooked spinach later on as a side salad that day, I felt like it tasted more nice because I know I had kindly given it to my neighbor who loves cooking, by the way. There were many more stories that she told me. Many more were inspiring, but I can't really tell them all. I mean, it would take about 3 to 4 vlogs. But I hope you enjoy this one. It taught me so many things being with her. There's so much I learned, and I realized we never stop learning. I hope you pals will realize that. Sharing is caring, sharing is love. And without really having our good neighbors or sharing with our good neighbors, what is life without them? Have you ever imagined that? At some point I've thought of that. Well, I hope you enjoy this one, friends. Until next time, enjoy the vlog. I know you can't get out, but our time is running out.